Purge out the rebels. And I want to make it clear from the get-go here that when we talk about rebels and rebellion, we're not talking about 1776 or the war between the states or anything like that. We're talking about spiritual warfare. We're talking about rebellion against Yahweh and his Torah. And we're not going to read anything else into that. Purge out the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me. From the land where they sojourn, I bring them out. But they shall not come in to the land of Israel, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. Purge out the rebels. Now we also have a very familiar verse in 1 Samuel chapter 15, where Shmuel told King Saul that stubbornness and rebellion are as the sin of witchcraft. And what I would like to do is begin by examining or analyzing two words: purge and rebels. So in order to purge, as David asked, we must shift our attention from the problem to the solution. And how do we do that? Well, the problem is often us. We have to look at ourselves. But a more subtle form of rebellion is compromise. Compromise. And we can compromise almost everything in the Torah. We can compromise the Sabbath. I'll probably have some people hate me for this, but that's all right. Rebellion is Strong's number 4776, and it means mirod. It's the Hebrew word mirod. And we get an English word from that. Yeah, some people caught it just like that. Marauder. You know, you saw the John Wayne movies, the Comancheros or something. They were marauders, right? They went and robbed other people. And so rebellious people are marauders. They've come to steal your peace of mind, to steal your peace, to undermine your confidence in Almighty Yahweh, to undermine your trust. They're marauders. The rebellion of Korah. Korah, son of Ishar, son of Kehath, son of Levi. He was a Levite. Took both Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben. So you got these Reubenites. You got some allies. And this is what sometimes rebellious people can do. They got to get allies. They got to get people who are with them. They can't do it alone. And Miriam enlisted the aid of Aharon. And Korah enlisted the aid of a bunch of other guys to join him in this rebellion. And they rose up before Moshe, or they rose up in opposition to Moshe, with some of the children of Israel, 250 leaders of the congregation, called ones of the meeting, men of name. These were not just nobodies, they were leaders of the congregation. And they rose up before Moshe. In other words, they rose up in opposition to Moshe. Now let's stop and think about this. What was their rebellion about? It wasn't about keeping the Sabbath. They had no problem keeping the Sabbath. It wasn't about keeping the Moedim of the holy days. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about keeping the clean food laws. They all kept the clean food laws. It wasn't about sacrifices. They all sacrificed. It wasn't about any of those things. It was about leadership. They wanted what they didn't have, what they couldn't have. They all wanted a piece of the pie. If rebellion and stubbornness are witchcraft, is that an open door to demonic control? Elohim makes a home for the lonely. He brings out into prosperity those who are bound with chains. Only the rebellious shall dwell in a dry land. What's that mean to dwell in a dry land? Let's contrast that. Zechariah 14, verses 17 and 18. And it shall be that if any one of the clans of the earth does not come up to Jerusalem to bow himself to the sovereign Yahweh of hosts, in other words, they're in rebellion, they don't want to come up, on them there is to be no rain. And if the clan of Mitzrayim does not come up and enter in, not just come up, but enter in, then there is no rain on them. And on them is a plague with which Yahweh plagues the nations which do not come up to celebrate the festival of Sukkot. The punishment is no rain. What do we mean by no rain? Let's turn to Devarim. And keep the dry land and rain and everything in mind. And we'll turn to Devarim chapter 32. And we'll read verse 2. Yahweh says, let my instruction fall as the rain. So rain is instruction. My speech drop down as dew. If you go out early in the morning, the grass is wet, it hasn't rained, but it's wet with dew. And fine rain on the tender plants. Tender plants need fine rain. You get in a hard rain, man, they can drown. And showers on the grass. That's the rain that they're talking about. They won't get the instruction of Yahweh because they're in rebellion by not keeping his Moedim. So the solution is just the opposite. Be steadfast. Have emunah, firmness, fidelity, faithfulness, and that means taking responsibility. Watch, stand fast in the belief. Be men, be strong, and let all that you do be done in love. Rebellious people do not do and say the things they do in love. Revilers do not speak in love. They speak in contempt and hate. Let's not be like them. Let's be the exact diametric opposite and let all that we do be done in love.